Okay, in my recent reading history, I've actually been reading quite a bit of young adult lately, and I'm also starting to make quite a dent in my comics TBR list. Throne of Glass. So per your recommendations, I read the short stories first, which I talked about last month, I think, and I really liked them. I thought they were setting up something that could be pretty dang good, but it took me a good month to get through those short stories, so I figured Throne of Glass, when I picked it up, would be about the same. Yet no, I read this thing in one day. It picks up with Kalena being yanked out of the mines to participate in a contest to be the king's assassin, and it's frankly brilliant, which is really the only way to put it. I put a hold on the next book immediately, and I cannot wait. Isla and the Happily Ever After by Stephanie Perkins. I love this series. I adored Anna and the French Kiss. I adore Lola and the Boy Next Door even more. This one I initially really didn't like. I was annoyed in the first half at how unhealthy the relationship seemed to be, but then I settled down a bit when I realized that was kind of her point, and I really did like how it all wrapped up in the end, but all in all, I still liked the first two books in this series better. Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. I was in love with the first half of this book. It was so very lyrical. I liked that it was set in Prague, which gave it a different feel than most young adult books that are set in either America or London. The second half of this book is still good. It becomes very Saga-like, you know, the comic like Brian K. Vaughan. I actually think this book, though, predates Saga, so maybe Saga is just very Daughter of Smoke and Bone-like. Anyways, I still like the second half of this book, but not as much as the first half for some reason, but I'm really intrigued to see where the story will go, and we'll be continuing on to the next book. So, I started on my comics TBR list. You can see that comics TBR video by clicking here, or I'll put a link in the description below. And I started with Rat Queens, which is a D&D type of comic. And guys, I gotta say I'm in love with Violet the hipster dwarf. Probably because of the red hair, but either way, she's my favorite character. And Sawyer Silver is also pretty hot. All in all, I really liked this comic. It was a really good way to start my new journey into comics. The next comic I went on to was Lumberjanes Volume 1, Beware the Kitten Holy. This is a children's comic about a girls' summer camp and a kick-ass cabin of girls that go on adventures together. There's something almost charmingly soothing about this comic. It's all the imaginative stuff I would have loved as a kid. This is definitely going on a list for my future kids to read. My book club book for September was Tiger Man by Nick Harkaway. This is a science fiction book about this island that has been slated for destruction because of a biohazard that could infect the world. And there's this British military man who has been sent to the island for its last days to quietly serve out the rest of his time in the military, with a community that is slowly disintegrating as the island reaches its last days. It's really the story of the sergeant and this comic reading kid from the island, and them taking on the endemic and international threats to the island's superhero style. This was an interesting read, definitely unlike anything else I've ever read, and it has a pretty good twist at the end that I didn't figure out till like 10 pages before it was happening, and this story will stick with me, I think. Okay, so what are some of the more unique storylines you've been reading recently?